Hi, I'm Pam, and I'm here with my monthly update video, letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of July. So starting out with my updates, it was a pretty good month for the channel. I made a few videos that I had a really good time with. I reviewed my favorite FMV adventure game, The Pandora Directive, had a lot of fun replaying that and making the video, and I had a surprising amount of fun making my ranking of Sierra and LucasArts point-and-click adventure games. People seem to be liking that video. It was a really nice way of sort of going through my history with those games, since it's one of the genres I've been playing the longest. And yeah, it was a bit of a little nostalgic trip through time, talking about and ranking all of those games. I really like making those ranking videos, even though the comments can be on the annoying side anytime you have the audacity to rank things differently than other people may rank them. But still, good time. Looking forward to making more of those kind of videos in the future. My big update is that I was a guest on a podcast. I was actually on it a little while ago. I recorded it a few months ago, but it just came out sometime in July, and I was on the Indie Quest podcast, which is a great podcast for finding out about indie games that you might have missed, that might not get talked about so much. Josh and Steve are the hosts of that, and every week they bring an indie game that they really love and basically sell it to us and tell us why it's so good and why you should play it. And then there's usually other segments as well. So when I was on, I ended up talking about Paradise Killer, which, as you may know, is my favorite game from last year. So I talked about what makes it so good in a little more depth than I did in my Best of 2020 video. And then we made a segment about pitching our own idea for an indie game, sort of what the gameplay would be like, what it would look like, who might make it. And it was a lot of fun. So if that sounds interesting to you, check out the Indie Quest podcast. I will have a link in the description below. So my shout out for this month is Red Angel. Red Angel makes video essays on games as well as literature and other media occasionally. She has really, really well scripted and well narrated videos, really well edited as well. And she's got a couple main series that she does, though she sort of strays from them. One is Late Night Ponderings, which are shorter video essays where she just reflects on either an aspect of a game or a sort of topic in gaming in a really thoughtful way. And then the other series is I Love It Anyway, where she talks about a game that definitely is flawed, but she finds meaning and enjoyment in it anyway. I think the latest one she did in that series was Jurassic World Evolution, which I feel like is flawed, but also quite an enjoyable game. The last video she did was a Late Night Ponderings on Assassin's Creed and how the series has evolved since its inception, and then it goes on to talk about the AAA game industry sort of overall, and they're just very thoughtful reflections. I really like them. She also makes some sillier videos, like the silliest JRPG outfits. She does blooper videos fairly regularly, where she does really good editing to go along with her voiceover bloopers as she's making the videos, and they end up being quite hilarious. Her posting schedule, I wouldn't really say she has a posting schedule, it's a little bit sporadic, but I'm always really excited when a new video shows up on her channel, so if that sounds good to you, you should check out Red Angel. So now we'll move on to pickups, and I got a lot of stuff in July. A number of things were things I had ordered a few months back that just came in, but there was also some things, especially with making my collection video, where I found little holes of games that I wanted to have in the collection, but I didn't have yet. So we'll start out with NES games. I got a couple things. Someone pointed out that I didn't have a copy of Blaster Master, which was correct, even though I quite enjoy Blaster Master and I reviewed it a number of years ago, so picked this one up. Also Mega Man 2, I had only had 3 in the collection previously, so just wanted this one as well. It's a bit of a classic. I mentioned in my my game room tour video, that I was likely going to be trading in my Super Nintendo stuff because I was just going to go the ROM route with that. And I did. I'm actually finding it difficult to remember exactly what I traded. I sort of traded a bunch of stuff, so these may be what I traded it for? I don't know. I got Soul Divide on PS1, which is a scrolling shooter, which I've been interested in and looks cool. And then Strikers 1995, which is a vertical scrolling shooter. I love my shoot 'em ups, so these were good pickups for me. I also got the wireless 8-bit DOE Super Nintendo controller. I was very excited to get my hands on this because I don't think they're making the black one anymore, and I specifically got the black Super Analog, so happy to have a controller that matches that. Also got a few other games. There was a game swap, the first one in a long time, out in Milton yesterday. I got Dead Rising 2 off the record. I had the regular Dead Rising 2, but this is the one where they put Frank from the first game in it, and I generally prefer that. I also got a couple other things. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I have played this and reviewed it, but when I originally got it, I got a review code, so I just had it digital, so figured I would pick up a physical copy because I like to own the games that I really like. So that was a good pickup for me. Also, I remembered in the game tour video, or the game collection video, that I didn't have the original, or the new original, the first of the new Tomb Raiders, however you want to say that. This is my favorite of the new Tomb Raiders, and for some reason I had 2 and 3 physical, but I didn't have this first one. I got this at a store called Game Experts, which is out in Mississauga. I hadn't been there in a few years just because of all of the stuff that's been going on, but yeah, the store is open. It's got a really good selection of various consoles. As well, they've gotten into like Pokemon cards, which is apparently the hot new thing. But yes, I got this from Game Experts. You can also visit their website, gameexperts.ca, and thus they gave me this game for free so that I would mention their website. But it's a good store, and I don't mind recommending it at all. I also have a few other new games that were on order. I got Alex Kidd in Miracle World, and this could very well be the worst game I've played this year. I really should have tried it out on the Master System before I pre-ordered this, because it's just terrible. I barely played it at all. I played it for like a couple minutes, and I was just like, nope, not wasting my time with this. It has one-hit kills, which sucks. You've also only punch people, and your range is like 6 inches. It's like nothing. And there's no feedback. Like when you graze the back of a monster, there's no like rumble, there's no sound. You just like turn into a ghost and float off and start the level again from scratch. So I hated this. I regret buying this. I very rarely regret buying things, but something I don't regret buying is Blasphemous. I was super excited when they announced that they were going to get a physical edition on Xbox, so I pre-ordered this basically as soon as I could. I actually plan on replaying it soon because I just really, really like this game. I do have a review of it up as well, where I recommend it to people. And then the last game is the Cotton reboot for Switch. The Cotton games are very cute shoot-em-ups or cute-em-ups. I'm not quite sure it's worth the cost because I played through the entire thing in maybe 30-ish minutes. There are some extra game modes and things, and you know, I can try to die less. But yeah, it's quite a short game. It's really beautiful, like very bright and colorful, and has really cute little sprites and little story bits in between the levels. But yes, not a whole lot of gameplay here for whatever it cost, like $50. I'm sure the digital version isn't even all that much cheaper than this. Now, something I got which is pretty cool that I've sort of had my eye on for a while is the Memory Card Pro. And this is made by 8-Bit Mods. I bought mine from Stone Age Gamer. I did not get this for free because I just suck at asking for things. But I was playing Symphony of the Night, which I started playing a little while ago, and as soon as I started and got to the first save room, my memory card was full. And I was like, well, I never want to deal with this again. So this little guy lets you put in an SD card or a micro SD card. And even if it's tiny, like I think I've only got an 8 gig in here. Yeah, it's 8 gigs. That'll be more than enough room to save all of the PlayStation 1 games your little heart desires. So it basically goes in blocks. So each block is, I think, 8 save games, but you can have as many blocks as you need. So you can save unlimited amount of games. You can back them up by putting them onto your computer. This also has Wi-Fi, so you can like access it as long as it's powered up in the PlayStation, as long as it's on the same network, which is really cool. So very happy I have this. The only thing I wish, and I'm sure this is much more difficult than I understand, but it would be really good if they could make a PS1 and PS2 memory card in one. Again, I'm sure there's a reason why they haven't, but like that would be a big wish list item. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. Again, I got this from Stone Age Gamer. I do have an affiliate code should you want to get anything from there. Again, did not get this for free, but pretty handy little thing. And yes, just holding my breath for the PS2 and PS1 save card in one. And then just a few other game adjacent things. This t-shirt that I'm wearing now, it's got Hornet on it from Hollow Knight. I've had this on my wish list over on Fangamer for a while, and it came back in stock, so I decided to get it. I really liked the other one that I had with Hollow Knight on it, so happy to have this. I also got, just because I wanted to get more things so that I wasn't paying ridiculous shipping for one item, I got this Darkest Dungeon art book, and I'm honestly a little disappointed. I love Darkest Dungeon. I think the art is beautiful. Like, I'm happy with the actual, the art inside. There's also little bits of interviews from people about sort of the development and how the art evolved throughout the development process. But this was $30 and it's just like kind of flimsy and kind of short. I knew it was a soft cover, like I wasn't expecting it to be a big hardcover book, but it's like 70 pages, which just isn't, it's a little underwhelming, to be honest. Also, just the size of it, it is very wide and not very tall, so it sticks out from all my other art books, and I like things to be nice and aligned, so that's just my own little pet peeve, but, yeah, so the game has beautiful art, and I love the game, but, the book could be a little better. And then my growing vinyl collection. Last month in my update, I talked about how much I loved playing Dust and Elysian Tale, and then this showed up on eBay, and it has an absolutely beautiful soundtrack, and it wasn't too expensive. It was a fairly reasonable price for a limited printing vinyl, so I picked this up, which is, again, beautiful soundtrack. I also got this. This is the soundtrack to Ocarina of Time, which was one of the reasons that I got a Nintendo 64 back when I was a teenager. Even though I don't really ever want to play the N64 now, it's a beautiful soundtrack and a beautiful game. I really love this pattern on this record as well. So, yeah, this is actually going to be a trilogy of records. So this is only part of the soundtrack from the game. And then the last vinyl I got is for XenoCrisis, and I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more and what I played, but it was a really, really good sort of high-energy chiptune soundtrack. So after I finished playing the game this month, I saw this. And the nicest thing about this, ordering direct from Bitmap Euro, which is out in the UK, or somewhere in Europe, I think, The shipping was only £5, which is incredible. Usually to ship a record to Canada, it's like $30. So it was hard to pass this up when it was available. So in July, I played a ton of games. I was also extremely ruthless about retiring games that I was not enjoying playing, so this section will probably take me a while. The first thing I played, which actually started a few months ago, but it's taken me a while to get through it, is Monster Sanctuary. And this is available on Game Pass. It's basically a monster battler, so sort of a Pokemon-like game, but it's also a bit of a Metroidvania. So you're going through, it's like a 2D pixelated environment, and you're platforming through places, and the different monsters that you get and train and use to fight with all have different abilities. So you have one that as you're running around will follow you. You can switch it up whenever. So you might need one that is a flying one, and it can like pick you up and give you a little extra lift so that you can reach higher platforms that you couldn't get to before. Or another one might be able to break blocks to open up passages or let you swim, things like that. So the areas are gated based on the types of monsters you are able to collect and then use your special abilities for. And I've never been a Pokemon fan, but this game just really captured my attention. It is your standard sort of turn-based JRPG combat. You have a pack of 6 monsters to choose from. They fight 3 at a time, and they have all kinds of different abilities. They've each got a huge skill tree, so you can spec them out different ways, and it's pretty cheap to get the items to allow you to respec your monsters as you go. It was quite challenging. Like, when you get to the boss fights, a number of them really had me stumped for a while, and I don't ever really find JRPGs are that difficult. They have the occasional hard fight, but I usually just sort of brute force my way through it. Here I had to really think okay, I really need some good synergies with my team. I need to replace this monster for that one. I need to respec this one to go into, ice and frost damage rather than fire damage. So it was fun to sort of work my way through those combat puzzles. Even though I got frustrated at it a few times, I did set aside the game a few times on a few fights, but I ended up really enjoying it. I don't think I got to 100%, I think about 98% or something, but it was just a really enjoyable game with really cute monsters to get and level up and things. There's also a lot of things that make it friendlier, like you can get tokens to allow other monsters to sort of level up faster to the level of your main group that you've been using, things like that. So Monster Sanctuary was a bit of a surprise for me, but I ended up really, really liking it. I also managed to finish XenoCrisis, which I've talked about before. I think I put it in a Games to Play on Xbox Game Pass video. It's really difficult. I ended up playing it through co-op, and in co-op there you can revive your partner, which definitely came in handy. I'm not at the point where I would be able to complete that game solo, but it's a really, really fun game. It's sort of depending on how you play it. It's either a twin stick shooter, or I don't know what you would call if you're not using twin sticks, but you can use your face buttons basically. So your top face button shoots up and the bottom face button shoots down. So you do it like that. You're just going through these facilities and fighting these aliens. It's almost got a bit of a Starship Troopers vibe to it. Really great soundtrack, as I mentioned. I got the vinyl for it. And just a lot of fun. My one complaint about the game is that when you get to the end, and minor spoilers I guess, but you might want to know this before you get there, if you've used any of your continues, which if you get a game over, it's you want to continue? Yeah, I want to continue. But if you use any of those continues, you find out at the end that was bad, and you just get an unceremonious game over. No credits, no final boss fight, just Used to continue, you weakling, goodbye. So that was a bit of a shocker. When that happened, I actually just like sat there like staring at the television like, what just happened? Why did it do that? I ended up going on Twitter and telling the developers I thought that was a bad decision. But other than that, if you can get over what may be an uneventful ending, unless you manage to be good enough to beat it all on one credit, it was really good, a really fun game to play. So I still do recommend it, despite my disappointment at the end there. So as I mentioned, my last ranking was Sierra and LucasArts point-and-click adventures, and there were a couple that I've always heard good things about that I just hadn't played, so I wanted to play through a couple extra games just to be able to have them on that ranking. And I played through The Curse of Monkey Island, which is one I always kind of avoided just because of the change in art style, and change is scary and I don't like it. So that's why I had been avoiding it, but I'm so happy that I ended up playing it. It's got great humor. Got really interesting puzzles. I like the story, even though, like, LeChuck guy, she's just not that into you. Please stop chasing Elaine. But other than that, it was really good. Just so full of jokes and a lot of, like, visual sight gags, which I really enjoyed, especially with the new cartoony style of graphics. So yeah, Curse of Monkey Island ended up being absolutely fantastic, and now I feel silly for having avoided it for so long. And the other one I played was King's Quest VI. I have only played King's Quest games here and there previously. It's not my favorite series, but I'd heard good things about 6, and it was also co-designed by both Roberta Williams and James Jensen, who made the Gabriel Knight games that I love so much. So I decided to play it, and overall, I thought it was really good. It had, the story was save the princess, basically, but it was a lot of cool little characters you meet, a lot of just fairy tale inspired events that you find your way across. It's got voice acting, which is pretty well done, and different locations to explore. Overall, I really liked it. My biggest complaint about it was that there was this section in the middle where you have to climb a whole bunch of stairs on a rock face, and in between each staircase is like a puzzle that you need to refer to the manual in order to solve. And the puzzles weren't my problem, but the staircases were. So every time you go on a stair, you have to click like the foot icon onto the next stair, and then the protagonist goes like, oh, losing my balance, and then he rights himself, and then you click on the next stair, and he does it again, and then he rights himself, and there's like maybe 7 stairs on each staircase, and there was probably 20 to 30 total, and I was like, did I really need to watch this guy wobbling 25 times in order to get up this staircase? That was, when I got to that point in the game, I was actually really mad that that was included in there. But if I can forget about that part, King's Quest VI was a lot of fun, had an interesting characters to meet, and I did quite enjoy some of the puzzles, and how everything was out to kill you. So a couple other single-player things I finished. Ender Lilies, which was a new Metroidvania that I had been waiting on, and I didn't record it when I played it, sadly, but I do have a lot to say about it, so I'm actually going to be making a video on it. It should hopefully be my next one out next weekend, so I'm not going to say much more about it now. And then I reviewed Ao the Clown, which is a cute little platformer on Switch. I got the review code for free, which was nice, and put up that review as well. And I think that's it for single-player games. I started a few new games with my multiplayer friends. We tried Deep Rock Galactic for the first time, which was a lot of fun. You play 4 dwarves who are part of a mining company, and you're going to various locations, and you have some sort of goal, like mine a certain amount of an element or build a refinery, is it? Something like that. But it's quite a lot of fun. There's like 4 different classes, so each person sort of brings their own thing to the game, and at your ship, in your sort of hub area, you can dance to the jukeboxes, and the dances are hilarious. So it's a pretty fun game. I have enjoyed what we've played of that so far. We also tried Grounded, which I think is still in early access. It's on Game Pass. And this is the game that looks like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You play children out in what I assume is your backyard, and you're shrunken down to the size of ants. And it's pretty cute, just like the actual environments of it. Although it's basically like a sandboxy platformer, which isn't really my favorite thing. But I did have a lot of fun just like wandering off from the group by myself and then getting eaten by giant spiders. So yeah, Grounded is cool. I would like to see when it's like fully finished and released. And then the other one we started playing was Zombie Army 4, which is like not the most interesting name you've ever heard, and probably not something I'd be all that interested in playing solo, but it has a 4-player co-op campaign. There's a ton of levels actually, and the levels are all quite long, and you know, you're just shooting zombies. It's a spin-off of the Sniper Elite series, so you've always got a sniper rifle on you. Sometimes when you use it and get a good hit, everyone will be able to spectate like your bullet going through a zombie's eyeball. They're Nazi zombies, there's demons in it, so it's fun, it's very silly. In the last level we did, there was a shark that you had to feed zombies to, which was pretty fun. So there's cool little objectives to do along the way, and I've been enjoying that one pretty well. And then the games that I've retired this month, and again, I've been pretty ruthless, trying new things and swiping them to the side when they're not really living up to my expectations. I picked up Ghost 1.0 on Switch a little while ago, and I didn't like it at all. It's a Metroidvania where you play a robot who can also sort of like ghost out of her body and control other robots, which is a pretty interesting concept, but the map isn't very interesting, and every few rooms you get basically locked into a battle arena and have to defeat everything or wait a certain amount of time before it unlocks, and I just don't really love the combat, especially not with a controller, and it's just not that fun. You get upgrades, and if you die, you just lose them. Like, you don't even get to come back to your body to collect your currency that you use for upgrades. They're just gone. So it's not that fun, and it's hard to actually make any progress in it. So I gave up on Ghost 1.0. I also was playing La Mulana, and it's a really interesting game. It's another Metroidvania where you're exploring sort of these old ruins and coming across these strange characters. And it's very interesting, but it's very, very cryptic and very riddle and very trap heavy. And it was just a little too much. Like, I was just finding myself stuck a lot. So I heard that La Mulana 2 is a little less opaque, so I started playing that one instead, and it in fact does seem a little more doable than the first one did, so I will update you on that one later, and maybe I'll go back to the first one after I finish the second. I'll have like my mind developed in the way it needs to be in order to crack a lot of those puzzles. Next, a lot of people, when I made my CRPG ranking video, were like, where's Pathfinder Kingmaker? So when everyone said that, I kind of expected it to be good, but I started playing it and I did not find it to be good at all. It's a lot like Pillars of Eternity 1, like in design, in presentation, and the characters weren't that interesting. There is one character who's a bard who's sort of like trying to write a story as she's going on the adventure, which was the most interesting character to me. But it strikes me as a game that's trying to very literally take the rules from the pen and paper RPG and really not make any concessions for the fact, like, this is a video game. You don't have a GM that can, you know, work with you at all. It's just the computer that you're playing with, and it's just kind of mean and punishing. There was a few things that didn't seem to be fun for me at all. Like when you're on the world map and you travel between places, I was finding that my characters needed to rest just all the time. Going across the map, you'd have to rest like 3 times, and resting is a bit of a cumbersome process. And yeah, the combat just takes a long time. There's a lot of encumbrance to worry about, which is always sort of annoying in those games. And yeah, just Pathfinder Kingmaker was not doing it for me at all. I put in about 10 hours. Apparently it's over 100 hours long, which is honestly too long even for a good game. So that one got retired as well. And the last thing I want to talk about is Psychonauts. This has been a game I've been wanting to play for a long time. It's actually one of the ones that after making my collection video and one of those games I went up like, oh, I haven't played this yet. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to remedy that. I'm going to play this. And especially since the sequel's coming out in August sometime. So Psychonauts is interesting. Like, I really like the sense of humor and the zany characters you're meeting, but I do not like the early 3D platforming and fighting with the camera. I put in a good few hours. I think I looked up a walkthrough and the chapter names, and I'm about 2/3 of the way through, maybe a little bit more. But every time you got into one of those platform heavy sections, I really just wasn't having fun. So I decided to give up on it. I might just like watch a video of the last third of the game just to see where it goes. But yeah, there's all sorts of cool ideas. Like you're going into people's brains and you do it by like putting a little doorway in their head and you sort of jump through it and you go through their memories and you check out their emotional baggage and just all sorts of really clever things and funny scenarios. But the gameplay just did not hold up for me very well at all. So I'll still play the second one because I'm sure there will be a bunch of gameplay improvements that have taken place. But yeah, I decided it wasn't worth the frustration to finish number 1. Alright, so that was it. I think that was a long one. Let me know in the comments if there's any interesting pickups you got, what games you've been playing in the last month, anything you want to recommend to me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to go check out Red Angel, watch a few of her videos, give her a sub if you like what you see, or you can watch another one of my videos. I have a Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.